You ever mop a floor so shiny it reflects everything but your worth? That night I was just a janitor again back in the lobby of one of the biggest tech towers in Manhattan. My jumpsuit was faded at the seams, cuffs worn thin. I'd done this loop 100 times before. Mop, rinse, repeat. But that night, it was different. Right as I was scrubbing the edge of the marble, I heard him, this billionaire from Dubai or Qatar or wherever they ship arrogance with gold-plated luggage. He smirked, leaned into his translator friends and said in flawless Arabic, "If he's going to mop marble, someone should teach him not to look like he owns the place." The words cut clean, like glass. Everyone around him laughed. Loud, sharp, the kind of laughter that's more about power than humor. I didn't flinch, didn't even blink. Just wrung out the mop like I had somewhere more important to be, which I did. My son Micah was waiting in the supply closet, working on his math homework under a flickering light bulb. The billionaire Nassim al-Haddad leaned on his ivory cane like he was king of the damn world and added in Arabic, "Do you understand me? Or should I speak slower for the help?" And in that moment, I could have ignored it. But instead I stood, looked him dead in the eye, and in the same ancient Arabic dialect said, "The floor may reflect your wealth, sir, but only your words reveal your worth." The room went silent just like that. The champagne froze mid-sip. The laughter died in people's throats. Nassim's smirk fell right off his face. One woman gasped like I'd slapped him. I gave a nod, just a respectful one, and went back to mopping. But up on the mezzanine, someone was watching. Her name was Celeste Warren, CEO of the whole damn place. Hair sharp as her stilettos, reputation even sharper. She saw the whole thing. I didn't know it yet, but that moment rewrote the course of both our lives. When I got back to the maintenance room, Micah looked up from his granola bar and crayons. "Dad," he said, "why did that man yell at you?" I could have lied, could have said it was just a joke, but I didn't. I crouched beside him, tucked a loose curl behind his ear, and told him the truth. Because he thought he was better than me. Because of my clothes. Because of my job. "But you spoke his language," Micah said. "Yeah," I nodded. "Then why did he look scared?" I smiled. "Because some people aren't afraid of being wrong. They're afraid of being seen." The next morning, I found out someone had filmed the whole thing. A 30-second clip. Grainy, shaky, but it went viral overnight. 5 million views before sunrise. Headlines everywhere. Janitor shuts down. Billionaire with one sentence. At first, I didn't care. Didn't mean much to me. But inside the tower, the air shifted. People stared differently. Some with awe, some with fear, but mostly curiosity. And then Celeste called me up. 48th floor, no security escort. Just a message, office 412. Come alone. I almost didn't go. But I did. She stood by the window, backlit by the skyline, like she'd been drawn by someone who only sketches in ambition. She didn't turn when I entered. "You speak Arabic," she said, "and Latin, Farsi, Greek," I added. "Enough to get through a war zone or a library. That's not in your HR file." Didn't seem relevant to waxing floors. She turned then. And for the first time, she didn't look like a CEO. She looked tired. Real. "Why are you really here?" she asked. I looked at her, really looked. Saw the cracks in her armor, the battles she never let people see. So I told her the truth. Because I have a son who deserves to see that even if the world calls you small, you can still stand tall. Say something true, and walk out with your dignity. She stared for a long time, then smiled, not the corporate kind, a real one, the kind that says, Maybe the story isn't over yet. That would have been a fine ending, right? But stories like mine don't end in applause. They end in pushback. A week later, someone forged an email from my company account, an anonymous letter to the board accusing Celeste of unethical behavior, personal, cruel, the kind of thing that could sink a woman like her in 5 seconds. Trent Royce, the COO, sleek, polished cutthroat, brought it to her himself. I walked into the room just as he slid it across the table. "I didn't write this," I said. "That's exactly what someone who wrote it would say." Trent smiled. Celeste looked at me, eyes flickering with something I hadn't seen before. Doubt. Not much, but enough to hurt. I told her to let it go. Let me walk. Protect herself. And she almost did. Until Helen, her assistant, stepped forward during the emergency board hearing. She'd overheard Trent instructing it to hack my login. She was ready to testify. On the record, under oath. It flipped everything. They fired Trent, and Celeste stood right there in the boardroom and said, "He said he doesn't want his job back. Then maybe it's time we offer him something more than a job." 2 weeks later, I stood in front of a new door. The words stenciled in silver, "The Studio of Tomorrow," founded by Dr. Jonas Vale. My old name, my real name. Inside were whiteboards, books, and seats filled with janitors, security guards, cafeteria workers, people who had gone invisible too long. My first lesson, one word on the board, voice. And just like that, the mop turned into chalk again. Micah sat in the back, grinning ear to ear. He raised his hand first. "Voice," he said, "isn't just what you say. It's what you do when no one says anything back." The room clapped, slowly, then louder. Later that night, Celeste found me wiping down the board. Her voice was quiet. "You didn't need to be fixed, Jonas," she said. "You needed to be seen." I looked at her hand still holding the rag. "And you saw me," I said. She stepped closer. "Stay." In the program, I asked. In my life. And I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no. Somewhere in this city built on steel, debt, and noise, we built something better. A space for voices, for truth, for healing, for kids like Micah, for people like my mother who died cleaning buildings no one thanked her for men who used to be professors, but now teach again not from a podium but from experience, for women like Celeste, who finally chose courage over compliance. Now maybe you're wondering, was it worth it? Losing my job, my reputation, my quiet life? I don't know. But when Micah said, "Thanks for fixing the music box, Dad," I knew this. Sometimes you don't fight to win. You fight to stay true. And that's enough. Now tell me something. Have you ever seen someone judged by their uniform, their accent, their silence? Do you think dignity belongs only to titles and suits? Or can it walk in with a mop and walk out with the world listening? Let me know in the comments. Your voice matters here.